Hey, Mr. Wiedemer here for Mr. Wiedemer's History. Today we're going to talk about how America enters the war. Remember the Great War, World War One. This is 7.2, America enters the war. And yes, old Uncle Sam here, as you recognize, I want you for the U.S. Army. Now, I put that picture in here because this was designed to recruit American soldiers for World War One. Okay, this is American propaganda, trying to recruit soldiers. So I want you for the U.S. Army. So old Uncle Sam, created by Thomas Nast, is one of the most iconic symbols of American militarism. And so 7.2, you guys will be able to describe America's involvement in World War One and assess new types of weapons and warfare. Now, America was neutral. Okay, they all the way back to old George Washington, he says, stay out of Europeans' affairs. Alright? Americans are going to be neutral. Okay, the war starts in 1914, assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Okay, which lights the powder keg. And America is going to stand back. We're going to be neutral, because that's, we've done that forever. And so, Woodrow Wilson's quoted as saying, a war with which we had nothing to do. And really, since the time we didn't, because it was all mostly a European affair, until, Germany kind of gets us involved. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Now, America was split. Some people wanted to side with Germany, many Germans here in America, and some people, majority of people, wanted to side with the Allies. But no one really wanted to go to war. Some did, to help our brothers out and defeat tyranny and spread democracy. But, for the most part, we're going to remain neutral. And that's going to be tough to do with, both sides wanting us, and makes it very difficult, especially trade. So, what we're going to do, we're involved in contraband. Okay, prohibited materials. British define this halting trade between U.S. Central Powers. Basically, if Britain saw us trading with Central Powers, they would cut off trade with us. Okay? And so we can only trade with them. We're their allies. We've got to trade with them, not Central Powers. So we got to cut off all trade with them. Sorry. Okay, so war materials and food for America had helped the Allies out. We're basically all age short of war. You'll see that again when it comes to World War II. But all age short of war. We're all in to the point of not jumping into the ocean. We're right at the edge of the dock, saying, here, take stuff, we're going to help you out, but we're not jumping in yet. We're not jumping in yet. Okay, so the U.S. lent $2 billion to the Allies. Yeah, $2 billion of aid to the Allies. Who says we were neutral during this war? Yeah, so the U.S. public is going to buy $2 billion in British and French war bonds. Remember, a bond is basically the government borrowing money from its citizens. And then at a later date, you can cash into bonds, and you get interest and all that stuff. But you're basically helping out the government. So the Germans, though, they have a new weapon. The submarine, called the Uboat. Little video clip here you want to watch. Now, the Uboat, no one's ever seen anything like this before. This is, it's crazy because you can sneak up on ships and blow them out of the water. No one knows about them. Alright? They can sneak up on you, boom, blow you up. This crazy U-boats. And the Germans practiced unrestricted submarine warfare. That means they can just go around willy-nilly blowing stuff up. Alright? No restrictions. And then one day, this British passenger liner, which really we kind of, put all kinds of military aid on there, we were disguising as a passenger liner, and Germany kind of knew that, and so they saw past our disguise and blew up the ship. But on the ship, there was 128 Americans. Okay? 1,200 passengers drowned, and 128 Americans. This is it. Alright? If you want to chalk something up for what took America into the war, the Lusitania. This is really going to be the straw breaks camel's back, and this leads to eventually into us getting into the war, the sinking of the Lusitania. And so main thought is an act of war. It was like, we knew better to be on the ship. You know, it was going to get blown up. We were sending supplies over. You know, it's alright. And so it's going to take, another 2 years before we get involved. Right? Next up, the Sussex Pledge. This is what really is like, alright, So Wilson refused to take extreme measures, like, okay, we knew better. We had, contraband on the ship, so he blew it up. But Germany struck again. Remember, this is unrestricted submarine warfare. They're just going to blow anything up, blow anybody up that gets in their water. And so they blew up the French ship this time, the Sussex. Well, Wilson's like, okay, alright, if you're going to keep doing this, we're going to become involved. You do not want America involved in this war. Really, you don't. So, basically, he's laying it all on lines like, bring it, Germany. Bring it. If you're going to keep blowing us up, blowing passenger liners up, it's on. And what did Germany do? Well, they quit for a little bit, but not entirely, for long, because here they go again, blowing ships up, and, Wilson goes to Congress, says, we need to declare war, okay? We can no longer maintain our freedom in the seas. We must declare war. We must, as democracy prevail, we must declare war on Germany. And so in 1917, we do go to war. We do declare war. I like to think of it as the boxing match here, okay? Starts in 1914. The Allies, Central Powers, duking it out. And then the 17th round. Everybody's weary and tired. Here comes the United States. Boosts the morale of the Allied troops. Gives you fresh resources and just unlimited supply. And we are awesome and victorious because of that. So the 17th round, 1917, you guys entered the war after the Sussex Pledge, after unrestricted submarine warfare by the Germans, goes unchecked. We warned them, but they do it anyways. Right, quick review, the U.S. maintained neutrality at the start of the war, going all day and all the way back to old George Washington. The U.S. found it hard to do so because warring powers made it difficult for the U.S. to have freedom of the seas, because hey, if you trade with them, then we're not going to trade with you, and so on and so forth. And sinking the Lusitania, that was the last straw. Oh, okay. Do not. This is it. Okay, quit sinking passenger liners. All right. Then we issue a pledge. We're like, this is really it. We're drawing a line in the sand. Do not cross it. And what Germany do? Yeah, they cross it. So we're going to declare war on Germany and come in the 17th round. And it, we wanted freedom of the seas. They just left it alone. We might not have gone into war, but it happened. So now warfare, World War I. World War I is known for, very unique, new, innovative, crazy style of warfare. Right? Now with these new weapons, primarily the machine gun, most of these weapons were defensive, and so with the defensive weapons, how do you counteract that? How do you combat that? By digging a hole in the ground, aka a trench. And you're going to line up on both sides in trenches, and you're going to fire these weapons at each other, these defensive weapons at each other. And that's pretty much warfare in World War I. Pretty crazy. Right? We also have chemical warfare. Gas is used. Gas masks need to be used to help protect yourself, but gas masks were very few and far between. And so chemical warfare is first used during World War I. Right? The tank, that's brand new. The machine gun, the fighter plane, all made its debut in World War I. And the flamethrower as well. The sniper rifle. I mean, all these are making their debut during World War I. It really changes warfare. It revolutionizes and modernizes warfare. World War I changes the landscape. Right? So this is a massive amount of casualties into the optimism, because World War I starts like, we're off to save, democracy, yay. And then they get there, it's like, this is terrible. And really bad. And so, fighting for months on end for, 10 miles of land You're going to kill millions of people for 10 miles of land. 10 miles of land, and millions of people die. It's brutal and crazy and horrible, horrible war. Here's some trench warfare here. You see, here's no man's land in the middle. You better not go in there because you're going to get sniped out and killed. Alright, you get your barbed wire. You get barbed wire here. Alright, you're in your trench firing guns back and forth. You got planes flying overhead dropping bombs. I mean, it was just crazy. Crazy. Right, just then one of your soldiers here, your sandbags, your toilets right there with you. Right, your periscope, so you don't want to get your head all up there. You might get shot, so you're going to see what's going on. Alright, your barbed wire, so people can't crawl in through. That's what, a lot of times they did. They'd crawl through no man's land at nighttime, because if it was daytime, you'd get seen and shot, and then they would infiltrate and kill. But, that happened. Your duck boards, your fire step, you got to get up and, shoot your guns. It was just crazy, crazy. Here's another picture here. Fire step you dug out. Have all your belongings there with you. Alright, here's some actual pictures from World War I. You see chemical weapons using here. Guy has a gas mask on. And here they are going up over the trench. Going to go fight. Cannons firing at each other's trenches. I mean, this was World War I warfare. Trench warfare. Also called total warfare. Well, where everything was used. Everyone took a part in the war. Everything was used. Whether you're a civilian, you're a child, you're a woman, you're a man on the front lines, everything was used. Total war. Right? And the trenches, they're bad. The whole saying, is really true that war is hell. And this was one of the greatest examples of it right here. Okay, in your trenches, rat infested. Everybody had lice. No, not just 5 people down the street. No, every single person had lice. Drove people insane. Food, very little food. They had canned food, beef, nasty bread, biscuits, jam. Really not very good provisions. Camaraderie was, I mean, you're in a trench, you live in a trench for years. You need someone with you to pass the time, someone that you want to, fight this war with. It's crazy. You got boards, so people wrote poems and poetry, and, we got really good literature out of World War I for people in the trenches. One of the worst things, trench foot. Basically, you're in the cold and the heat and the wet and the dry, and it just you never got a chance to wash your feet. And like Forrest Gump, Lieutenant Dan says, socks are the most important thing for a soldier. Well, this is why. This is what happens. Trench foot. Alright? Foot swells 2-3 times their normal size, went numb, skin would peel off, their boots removed. I mean, it's just nasty. I couldn't imagine living through this. And this is what World War I was all about. Trench warfare. It was just terrible. Alright, so a little question I want you to think. We want to talk about this in class. Out of all the conditions in trenches, what problem do you think was the worst? And why? Alright, lesson review here. U.S. remained neutral at the start of the war. The U.S. found hard to do because warring powers made it difficult for the U.S. to have freedom of the seas, which that's what we really wanted. Seeking Lusitania was the last straw. Wilson issued a Sussex Pledge. This really was the line in the sand. Germany violated it, leading us into World War I, 1917. New military tactics characterized this war. Total war. A big word that comes from World War I. Total war. Machine guns, airplanes, flamethrowers, chemical weapons, all get their start here. All led to trench warfare. Defensive weapons lead to trench warfare. And warfare was nasty. And soldiers fought in deplorable conditions, gaining very little ground. Millions die for 10 miles. So there you go, just a little bit about World War I. Got the United States involved, what it was like on the front lines, these awful, horrible conditions, trench warfare, total warfare, World War I. Until next time, Mr. Wiedemer, study history.